Hello, greetings, this is Gilles Mention. I thought I'd come and say hello, wish you a good day. I'm going to be coming here to continue to express my ideas, my thoughts. It's just a point of view, and to everybody's entitled to his own point of view, and I'm trying to express enlightened ideas, the ideas that are not necessarily expressed on the mainstream media. And so this is and opinions can change from one day to the next. We have to be enough open in our mind to know that we can always elevate our thoughts to higher consciousness. First, I wanted to talk about an exercise. I hope you will find it useful and interesting. For those who followed my video for over a year, you already have done this exercise. It's about writing a letter to yourself. So I found this letter. It says to Gilles Mention, open and read on December 1st, 2019. I wrote it to myself on December 1st, 2018. But if you haven't done it, just prepare a letter that you write your name and you said open and read on December 1st, 2020. And on this letter, I haven't opened it yet, but in this letter you can write a simple message to yourself. What is it you're going to want to tell your future self about your condition, about anything? And so you write a little statement that you wish to read in a year from now. The second thing you want to do is to make a list of all the things within this coming year that you want to get rid of or you want to diminish within your life, and then you make a list of all those things you want to attract into your life or augment within your life. And then you can, once this is done, you write down what is your core belief, what is most essential for you, what is the most important thing for you. You can write a little statement, and then you can make a 1 year, 5 years, 10 years perspective of what are those things you want to achieve, whether it's personal, professional, or spiritual, within the next 1, 5, and 10 years. And you make a list of those things on those 3 levels. And then you watch that are any of those things not matching your core belief. If there is anything that's not matching your core belief, you want to adjust it. And then you seal the letter. And if you've done it last year, you want to find this letter to read it. So it's good exercise. I hope it will be useful to you. When you write a letter to yourself, it's like this philosopher, Marcus Aurelius, who was a Roman emperor in the 3rd century BC, great Stoic philosopher at the end of his life. For Rome was the apex had 600 years of political stability, and Marcus Aurelius was at the end of the 3rd century AD. And he was in a campaign in the north of northern Europe, and he was wounded in a battle, and so he knew that his life was ending, and he wanted to communicate to himself. So he wrote in Greek this letter to himself, this message to himself, these thoughts to himself, and he was just to communicate with his inner guide, this divinity. And you can see, and this book was supposed to be this writing was supposed to be destroyed after his life. It was just for him, and it's very, very sincere, very profound, and a lot of wisdom within that when he communicates with his inner guide. But thank God, this document has survived the test of time. It was preserved, and so the thoughts for himself. I don't know what it's called in English, but it's very, very powerful. Marcus Aurelius. There's a lot of wisdom within that. You can see, even though he was all-powerful. He had all the power of heaven and earth as a Roman Empire. He was born as a king, but he remained very humble and conscious that even the slave needed a good life, and everybody was taken care of. And his guide was telling him everything he believed about the power of the glory of Rome was in one moment of eternity will be dust, and everything and everyone will be forgotten, and we'll move on to something else. So do not take things as it comes. I wanted to address. So this is the letter. You can write this letter to yourself. It's kind of this exercise. I wanted to address the idea that we have free will and we have free speech. It's important to continue to develop your own free speech, your own free will. Everybody's entitled to its own opinion. Everybody has the right to express. Then from all that is expressed, eventually we will find, as a consensus, we'll find where is the highest wisdom among all the voices, because wisdom is only relative to the consciousness of the people that are here. It's the sum of the best consciousness. Since God can only interfere when men and women have evolved and grew in their consciousness. I think the Quran says that. For what I'm looking for is the restoration of all my memory, the restoration of my Akash. And once I move into these higher planes, I know I'm going to retrieve all my memory, and so I'm very eager on that. I also wanted to address an idea that's maybe very controversial and not everybody will understand it, is that life is infinitely fair and perfect. Yet not so much when we look in the physical world, life look very, very unfair. There is certain people that are extremely bad intention that are getting great success, and those people have really good intention that are getting not that success. But in essence, life is, and why do we say that life is infinitely fair? Is because when we here in incarnation, we are free to express this free will, to express in any way we wish. But as soon as we die, we wake up in a place where we have to face all the action and consequences of everything we did. We have to face the music. Every soul has to go through this life review, and so it is. So that's why it's infinitely fair, because nobody gets away with anything. There is in every detail. It's not a matter of judgment. It's a matter of understanding that life is one. There is only one life, and everything we do to life will be reflected upon us. And so that's why we say that life is fair, is because everybody will have to face everything they did during each of their incarnation. Do not approach that with fear. Just be like a child. Understand that if return to this state of innocence and goodwill in relationship to yourself and to life. Do not judge yourself. But there is a great deal of fairness that we'll understand only after this life. And so each society is left un peu to its own... To its own, every civilization have to be self-determined, but each soul is learning after each incarnation. I also wanted to talk about our spirit guides. Our spirit guides are friends and family. They are very faithful. They're very enlightened. They live in the seventh dimension, and it's from there that they are guiding, protecting, inspiring our life, and their mission is to bring us to this ascension. But once we achieve this ascension, some of them will move on. They will get other guides. Yet there are some guides that will stay with us, like our guardian angel, for instance, that will stay with us all the way back to paradise, most likely. Those guides also, when we had developed a new hobby, for instance, or new interest, there may be some other guides that are coming to assist us. Those are invisible. It's not so much if we ask mentally and we receive if our channel of communication, like myself, I'm very open. I receive telepathic communication that comes in words forms, but sometimes it's just a matter of frequency, feeling the love of your guides. For your guides love you dearly, and they have this unconditional love for you, and no matter what you do, they will never judge you or it's not their mission to judge whatever choice you make, or to be in a position where they're gonna actually withdraw from guiding you, no matter what you do, because they'll know that it's all about reinforcing this inner light, this divinity. They're not here to control your life. They're here to reinforce this divine light that you have within yourself. So if you have questions, you can always address the creator, your own creator, your source, your inner source self, and then the information will drop down naturally to whomever it is best appropriate. But if you connect to your guides, for every romantic question, you may want to ask your guardian angel. It's the most appropriate guide to ask for anything that talks about romance, relationships. It is this very your guardian angel, she is a go-between you and all the other spirits of the universe. So it's a very powerful spirit. It's not like a small spirit, it's a big spirit. The guardian angels are seraphim. They are very big spirit that are guardian angels. Then we have a master guide and a pathfinder guide. The master guide is here to assist us with our spiritual self, and a pathfinder guide is here to assist us with our material reality. And so I'm lucky that I know by name, and I've been working with my guides for many, many years. I'm very grateful for their, even when I was in the depths of darkness, sometimes I knew they were there. They were sending me messages to reassure me that it was just a temporary illusion I was going through. We also have a soul family that we're part of a mother soul, and we have this, we are just particle of this mother soul, but there are other beings that belong to this family that are also part of our guiding force. We'll call a monad. Eventually, we're gonna become a higher self. Once we achieve this ascension, that's which point everything will be reassembled. We're gonna have access to the 8 to 12 chakras, and And so we're going to be able to some of our guides will have fulfilled their function, and new guides will come in, but we'll be with our family of guides and spirits. I'm going to pull a few cards with the Akash to see what. For the past is the writer of the script. For me, I have written a book. I'm looking forward to publishing it and writing new ones. So it's good to take always notes on everything you do, because the mental body always forgets things. When you write it down, you can return to it. Where we are now is anger and alimentation. It's about controlling the craving and understanding the desires of the heart, but controlling the craving, also knowing what is it exactly we want, what is it exactly we need, and slowly but surely to purifying our intake. So eventually we'll be able to nourish ourselves from light, directly from logos. And the future is the man-woman. It's about blending in, so that those two parts within ourselves will be facing each other and not turning the back on each other. It will no longer be an opposition between those two parts, but they will be coming together and fused together, and so that's what we're working on. It's called the bride and groom. It may be an external relationship, a love relationship, a long-lasting love relationship, but it's also about creating this union, this harmony between our mental and our emotional, our physical and the astral, to bring all those parts of ourselves within union and harmony. And the outcome will be the great priest or priestess. There's going to be great power of magic. There will be we're gonna remember, we're going to be given those memories of those past lives where we already had this knowledge, this sacred knowledge about. But the more knowledge we have, the more power we have, the more responsibility we have as well. So I wanted to say that we exist between heaven and earth. It's conception, feeling of conception, but we have to anchor our energy into the earth to feel the love of the earth, and then we can reach into heaven and feel the love of heaven. The problem is that we are lost within most people exist between heaven and earth, but they are kind of lost within the realm of humans. Sometimes we get lost in this world of physical human, because the point of connection between heaven and earth is the mental body. When we connect to the heart, then we can fuse. You can feel the connection to love. And because the heaven and earth needs to come into this loving relationship, we need to blend in, and the heart is the key to blending in the energy of the earth and the energy of heaven. For love is the most powerful force in the universe. It is very powerful. If we love somebody and this person's suffering, we suffer too. If we love somebody is happy, it makes us even more happy. And I was trying to understand the nature of the suffering. How can God suffer as an infinite being? It's because He loves us so much that when we suffer, He suffers with us, for us. And so it's all about sharing, and so we want to bring in ourselves to the point of harmony. We do want to work with the inner child, and the inner child is not you, but it's the feeling sense of life. And this inner child is the bridge between heaven and earth. It's through the feeling side of life that we will be able to create this union between heaven and earth. I hope this message was meaningful for you. That we can bring ourselves to this communion, this energy. I'm going to discuss a couple of ideas about society, about the earth play. Behind me is this painting is part of a series of 5 or 6 of them. It's like a dinner table, a dinner party. There's only 3 people. It says, I love my life. But there is quite a few, and I put 3 of them for Thanksgiving. It was this idea of... I've done that before, but it's they may come into painting, this idea of the dinner table and the dinner party. It's a little cat. And this is a painting about divinities. The first painting I did when I came to France in 2001, about the 7 families of spirit beings. I'm going to sing a song. It's a gospel song. It says to follow the inner source, the source of love within yourself. It goes like this. I will follow Him. Follow Him wherever He may go, and near Him I always will be, for nothing can keep me away. He is my destiny. I will follow Him. Ever since He touched my heart, I knew there isn't an ocean too deep, a mountain so high it can keep me away from His love. I will follow him wherever he may go. There isn't an ocean too deep, a mountain so high it can keep me away from his love. Thank you very much. Thank you for liking, sharing, commenting, subscribing. For there's so much that is going on, and Spirit is preparing me for those great change. I wanted to discuss, I'm going to pull a few cards as well, but I wanted to discuss a couple of ideas. In France, we have this big debate on public media. It's not acceptable to wear a veil because it's like this saying about misunderstanding of what, for it is just... but what is the danger in that, wearing a veil? So I just wanted to remind that in the French video yesterday. It's like for Muslims, what's in the French constitution, we have the idea of freedom, the freedom to practice whatever belief, the religion you have, as long as you don't hurt anybody, but also to realize that Catholic nuns wear a veil, that in all the paintings of the Renaissance, we can see that Mother Mary, Madame Mary, wears a veil, and if the veil becomes unacceptable because it can traumatize children, maybe we should go to the Louvre and repaint the Mona Lisa, for the Mona Lisa is wearing a veil. So it's just a matter of, it's just a cultural thing, and there's nothing wrong about being able to dress whichever way we want, as long as we're not hurting anyone. There is also another thing, there's like around the world, there's the young people that are demonstrating against the surconsummation, and it is good that people are awakening to these ideas. Better late than ever, for there's been so much waste. And so ecology is becoming at the center of the debates. But in a sense, I saw people in France here that there were people that were demonstrating, and they were preventing people from trying to buy whatever socks or pants or whatever, because they say, well, we want you to sacrifice the need that you have in order to fulfill our need to protest against you doing that. I'm not criticizing anybody, I'm just expressing so. But the only thing we can do is personal sacrifice. If you ask all those young people if they want to do something for the ecology, the personal sacrifice they can do is to throw away their cell phone and never buy another one again. But they're not willing to do that. They're asking other people to make the sacrifice, but they're not willing to make that much of a sacrifice. For those phones are creating huge pollution in the world. They don't realize how much heat it produces and how negative it is but in a sense there is no judgment, because we have to balance out the energies, and very soon the 0 point technology, the galactic technology, are going to come and replace and fix everything. So there's really nothing to really worry about. Personally, I'm more into the German consciousness in terms of energy, to say that nuclear is a lot more dangerous than coal. It's better to live near a coal factory than a nuclear plant. But in France, we're highly invested in nuclear. But for me, after Chernobyl and Fukushima, we should know that those things, we don't want that. We have to come out of it. And because even the carbon that every time we speak, we produce carbon, and we have the carbon imprint every time we speak. So maybe we should ask for one day where everybody stays silent. And that would be a good way for the ecology to speak much less words. So it's all about balance. It's not, we're kind of looking forward to the arrival of this new technology that will increase the quality of life to such a great extent, that will assist us in repairing the planet, in healing the planet, and clean up all those garbage, and also will increase the new technology, will completely transform the way of life. But for now, we need to balance it out, but we do not want to be... we want to follow whatever alignment we have inside of us. If we're okay with Mother Earth and our source within, our Father Sky and our source within, divine masculine, divine feminine, and the one, then everything is fine, no matter what human may think about it. It's like I said, the only responsibilities that we have is in relationship to ourselves, and everything we'll have to answer to everything that we did. But it's about I didn't want to criticize all this awakening of those people that are protesting all the waste that is that's been created over this commercial consumerism, because it's like we don't need to a lot of things that they're selling through advertising we do not need. So it's but it's being more conscious and to follow whatever you feel is truly good for you. So those are just thoughts and ideas. It's just perspective, points of view. There is no objectivity in relationship to all that. I'm just trying to provide some guidance to not allow yourself to be to the other people to dictate what's right and wrong for you. The highest wisdom is empowerment. What we need to understand is the direction. We need to move in the heart, the direction of the heart, to follow that heart. What we need to do is to create. And the outcome is the healer. So all of it is good. It will all come to this point of alignment, and we're looking forward to this ascension point. Well, thank you very much for liking, sharing, commenting, subscribing. I wish you a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you later. Namaste.